Good afternoon, good evening. All over the world today. We have people joining us from the UK and Ireland. I think we've got people from Spain, Canada, U.S., and even the great state of Texas. My name is Keith Hooper. It's my great pleasure to be introducing my friend and business partner for going on 20 years, John Soloder out of Dallas, Texas. Don has been extremely successful in the network marketing industry, not once, not twice, but many, many times, and is the number one distributor here with the company of Immunotech Research. Very proud to call him friend, and he has some great information for all of us today. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Keith. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
All right, that's terrific. And welcome everybody in all of those great countries and places around the world. It's very, very exciting to be with you this afternoon. And, really the purpose of today's call is to do a little mastermind session. And it's difficult to do that when we're not all in the same place. It'd be great if we were all sitting here in my living room in Dallas. That would be opportune. But short of that, what we'll do is we'll kind of pretend we're doing that and just get comfortable, relax. Hopefully you're in a good place in your home or your office, and you can take some good notes this afternoon, because the things that I'm going to share with you this afternoon might be new information, might be old information, might be information you heard 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. So I'm going to share some of it with you. And once again, take notes, make it your own. First of all, mastermind. Why a mastermind? People often wonder, where did this terminology come from? And like a lot of things in marketing, I don't know that it came from any one specific place. First place I ever heard of it being referenced, of course, was by Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, which I'm sure you've all read at some point in your life. Is the idea of getting together some of the best and the brightest to discuss ideas or problems or strategies or tactics or all of the above. Once again, Dr. Hill was the first person I ever heard write about it. But I think if we went back even to the ancient Greeks, what did they really do when they created everything from, philosophy to government? Or mastermind groups. Ideas were thrown out, strategies, once again, and some of the things people thought were good ideas, some of the things people thought were bad ideas, some of the things people adopted and did on their end, and other things were discarded probably. So that's really where the mastermind concept came from. But last Friday afternoon, I had an opportunity to be part of a very unique mastermind group here in Dallas, Texas. And that mastermind group was arranged by Kyle Wilson. And Kyle Wilson, amongst other things, ran Jim Rohn Productions for many, many, many years, very successfully while Jim was alive, and even after Jim passed away, he ran the company for a number of years. And Kyle invited me to come and be part of a mastermind group that was led by my first mentor in network marketing and good friend Larry Thompson. And Larry and I spoke, I think it was Wednesday night beforehand, and I said, hey, who's all coming to this besides you and I? And he said, well, there's a few people coming, and he wouldn't tell me who. Well, when I got there on Friday, I saw some of my long-term friends and colleagues in the industry, people like Tish Roisin. Tish is a lady who lives here in Texas as well. Tish was one of the founding distributors at Herbalife International way, way back, and a very funny lady. She used to drive a truck, believe it or not, and drove a truck, picked up trash in California for a number of years before she moved over here to Texas. And when she moved to Texas, she kind of kids people that she got three things. She got a Bible, a gun, and an Herbalife distributor kit, and the rest is history. But, Tish is a lady who's made well in excess of $50 million in the network marketing business. And then another good friend of mine for over 30 years, Jeff Roberti. Jeff is the top distributor in his company, Juice Plus, been there for 29 years, earned over $90 million US, ridiculous amount of money to say the least. Another buddy of mine, Jay Bennett, was there as well. Jay's making currently over $2 million a year in his company, Isogenics. Of course, Larry Thompson, who's earned over $100 million and really helped to put the Herbalife company on the map. Joined it a few short months after it started and did all of the marketing for it, marketing plan for it, et cetera, with Mark Hughes. And, of course, today that's a $5 billion enterprise. Cheryl Cortese, who was a school teacher in New Orleans for many, many years. Cheryl got in network marketing, became very, very successful. She's earned in excess of $20 million. So, these are absurd numbers. And I'm not telling you these numbers to to intimidate you, and I'm not even telling them to impress you, but just to say that people do make money in network marketing. People do make serious money in network marketing when they really dedicate themselves and have a purpose and a vision and participate in things like mastermind groups to learn more information, to learn what some of their colleagues are doing. Anyway, that was last Friday afternoon, and there's going to be some reference points from last Friday afternoon that I'm going to use. There's going to be some other things just that I think are relevant that I'm going to put out here for your benefit this afternoon. One of the things that brought me back a number of years, and being at Kyle's and looking at all the Jim Rohn memorabilia was a meeting I had with Jim myself a number of years ago here in Dallas, Texas. I went to lunch with Jim with two other gentlemen, one who wrote The Seasons of Life and another who had been the founder of two network marketing companies in his life. And we were having lunch, and it was kind of ironic. Jim looked over at me, and I was by far the youngest guy at the table. And he said, these two old guys over here, he says, I can't help them because they obviously don't listen very well. And I said, okay, why is that? He said, but you still have a shot. He said, what I'm saying to you is, John, where's your journal? And I just kind of put my head down, and I went to my car, and I said, Mr. Rohn, give me a minute. I ran out to my car, and I brought my journal in, and I began taking notes. And what Jim Rohn that afternoon was telling me is, listen, never rely on your memory with good ideas. Write them down. Then they become yours, and then they're there, and if you forget about them and you go back and you pick up your journal a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, those good ideas, be they your good ideas or other people's good ideas, are still there as reference points. So that was a point that he made to me that day, and since that day I've been journaling. I've got hundreds of journals that I've kept through the years with a lot of information from a lot of great people. Next point, what do the wealthiest distributors do? And hopefully you are taking notes on some of this. The wealthiest distributors really do two things. Number one, they master recruiting. And number two, they master the promotional aspect of building a business, retail, and wholesale, which leads to recruiting. So what do? They master recruiting, and at the same time, they master promoting retail and wholesale of their product. In our case, Immunical. Other companies, whatever their main product is. You get really good at getting that product out there and constantly promoting it to people and constantly putting it in front of people. And if you get really good at that, it's going to increase your recruiting. Your recruiting is going to get that much better. Next reference point, okay, is on mindset. And mindset really has three things that when I go back in my career, 30 plus years ago when I first started, I heard these things then. I'm going to share them with you now, and I heard them again last week, and I heard them reiterated by the people in the room that I just mentioned, some of which are some of the most successful people in our entire industry. Some of them are icons in our industry. And here's those three things. And if there's nothing else you get out of our call here today, these three things can change your life. Not only in network marketing, they're totally relevant in network marketing, they're totally relevant in Immunitech, but they're also relevant in anything else that you want to do in your life. Okay? Number one is to have a burning desire to get better. A burning desire to get better. Number two, to be teachable. There's a lot of good information out there that you can learn if you're teachable. And finally, having a willingness to work. Just having a burning desire and being teachable are important, but if you don't have the willingness to go out and apply yourself by talking to people about your product, about your opportunity, then you're only going to go so far, okay? So once again, just to reiterate, having a burning desire, being teachable, and having a willingness to work. Those three things right there, those three mindsets on a daily basis is probably the thing that differentiates the people who were there last week than people who weren't there last week, people who haven't achieved the greatness that they have in them with the opportunity that is before them with network marketing and Immunitech research. Okay, next point. We all probably nowadays have a GPS system in our car and on our phone and everything else. And let me just give you an example of what I want to set up here. When I look at a GPS system, and I said, hey, I want to set my GPS system and I want to go here from Dallas and I want to drive up and see my sister who lives in New York State. If I'm off just a couple of degrees on that GPS system when I set it, I'll wind up in Philadelphia or Boston. Not bad, good towns to be in, but it's not where I need to be. It's not where I wanted to end up. Your GPS system in our business is where you want to end up being. So when you set it, you have to set it with the right coordinates. Now, the right coordinates for your GPS system for Immunotech would include what I call your DMO, Daily Method of Operation. This is your owner's manual, if you will, for building a network marketing enterprise, okay? Your daily method of operation. In that daily method of operation, there are some things that you need to do. But there's one thing in particular, and I want to dwell on just this one thing if I can for a couple of minutes, and that's called the 10 penny principle. The 10 penny principle, I'll explain it and I'll tell you how it kind of got started. The 10 penny principle is a principle that basically says when you get up in the morning, you put 10 pennies in your left pocket, and every time you have a conversation with someone, be it about your product or your opportunity or both, you take a penny from your left pocket and you transfer it over to your right pocket. If you do that 10 times a day and you do that consistently over the course of time, you're going to get very, very good at presenting your opportunity to people as well as your product. It's a consistency builder is what it is. I would also reference it another way. Okay, think of it this way. It's almost like going to the gym. You know, the first time that you do it, it's tough. The second time that you do it, it's a little bit easier. But by the 15th time, the 20th time, the 30th time, you just automatically do it. It becomes muscle memory, okay? Well, it's the same thing in talking to people about your opportunity and your product. It's the same exact thing. But what that 10 penny principle is going to do is going to get you into that habit each and every day of talking to people. Now, one of the things that comes up with the 10 penny principle is people say, well, you know, I don't know 10 new people to talk to every day, because they're thinking that it's someone that they have some sort of a long-term relationship with, that, you know, it's a friend or a relative or whatever, and they think, hey, maybe I've gone through those people already. Maybe I've mentioned this to them already. Well, what the 10 penny principle is going to do is it's going to get you just talking to people, just having a conversation, okay? You know, for example, I'm at a hockey rink right now like I normally am on Fridays with my son. I'm actually sitting in my car and talking to you this afternoon. 10 minutes ago, when I was inside, I started to talk to the parent of another kid who's out skating with my son right now. We were having a conversation, and I said, oh, I got to get ready for a conference call. Here he goes, a conference call? What do you do? And I explained to him a little bit. Well, guess what? He's got an interest in finding out more about our business. Why? Total stranger. We talked a couple of minutes. He's got a little bit of an interest. We'll have a further conversation and dialogue. Where that'll lead to, I don't know. But that's one little example. Give you more examples. When you get up in the morning and you leave your home, perhaps to go to your office for your regular job, perhaps to drop the kids to school, wherever, you probably stop somewhere and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something to get your day started, be it a Starbucks, be it a Tim Hortons, be it, you know, some establishment like that. Somebody waits on you. At the same time as that person waits on you and you maybe mention your opportunity and you've got something, a brochure or a business card or something that you can obviously leave behind with that person, at the same time, what about the guy online behind you who does have the time to talk to you? The person behind the counter, they're obviously working. They're, you know, obligated to do their job. They can't take their time to really talk to you a great deal. Well, the person behind you, what are they going to do? They're probably going to sit down and have their cup of coffee. They're probably going to sit down and get on their laptop because perhaps they're unemployed right now. Perhaps they're looking for work right now. Perhaps they're between positions right now. Once again, you'd say to them, hey, you probably heard what I just mentioned to the guy behind the counter here. Let me tell you a little bit more. Can I sit down and visit with you for 10 minutes, give you an overview? If you're interested, we can talk further. If you're not interested, you know, we'll shake hands and that'll be that. You know, once again, that's a contact. Now, that total stranger now becomes somebody that you're talking to about your opportunity. As one of so many examples, you can do the same thing in the bank line. You can do the same thing at the supermarket. You can do the same thing at the gym. There's so many places that during the course of the day, you come in contact with people on a casual basis that you can get in conversation and dialogue with that ultimately leads in some cases to doing business. In more cases than not, it won't. But what will happen is it'll get you in the habit, and you are going to start to get people saying, yes, I'm interested. Yes, tell me more. Yes, tell me about that Immunical. Yes, tell me about that glutathione. Yes, tell me about that earning opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. But what gets you in there is, once again, what? The 10 penny principle, okay, that would be the exercise, if you will. The daily method of operation, that's kind of your owner's guide for your business. That's kind of your how-to. okay, and the GPS coordinate of getting you where you want to go. Where do you want to go in this business? Well, hopefully, the reason you're here this afternoon or this evening if you're in Europe is you're here because you want to get to a better place in life. You want to be able to put a virtual financial fortress around yourself and your loved ones for the years to come on a permanent basis. You have a vehicle in Immunical and Immunitech to do that with, and the idea on your end is to get some of these skills down on a repeated basis where the business works for you in a major, major way. Okay? So, and that's a little bit. One of the other things that came up at this meeting was something real simple, and that is, the job description of an independent distributor in a network marketing business. And I thought this was really, really good. What do we get paid for? We get paid for doing two things: getting customers, getting distributors, plain and simple. Getting customers, getting distributors. We don't get paid for shuffling papers. We don't get paid for getting organized. We don't get paid for cleaning our desk. We get paid for getting customers and getting distributors. That's our job description. That's how our business truly, truly works. And then the other couple of things I want to mention to you, I'm watching the timer. I think we told everybody this would be about a 30 to 35-minute call. It's just a couple of conceptual things that, I believe through the years, there's three in particular. Number one is to be available. Be available for your people. If they call you, by all means, you want to call them back in a timely fashion. If someone calls you today and you can't get back to them, make sure tomorrow you get back to them at the very latest. So you're constantly going to be in a situation where you're calling people back if you miss their call. You have to be available for them because this is a push-pull type of a business, okay? They're pulling you, you're pushing them. It's a two-way street. It has to be there, so you've got to be available for them. Secondly, be capable. What do I mean by being capable? There's questions that are going to come up during the course of building a business like this that you're not going to be able to answer, especially when you're new. If you just got started with Immunitech, for example, in the last week, month, year even, there's things that come up. There's still things that come up in my case or Keith's case after 19 years that we've been marketing this product that we don't know, be it on the product or whatever, that we have to, get a hold of Dr. Gutman or get a hold of John Molster, get a hold of somebody else in our home office. And once again, by being capable doesn't necessarily mean that you have all the answers, but it does mean that you know who am I supposed to call to get that answer when I don't know something. So that's the idea of being capable. And then the third point I'll make on this is what I call ABM. That's like Apple, Bob, Mary. And what that stands for in our world is to always be marketing. The sign of a successful distributor is, do they have the tools to go to battle with? Okay, do they have brochures? Do they have CDs? Do they have DVDs? Do they have business cards? Do they have flyers? Do they have something that they can always be marketing with because you're constantly around people. You're constantly in situations where you can share information. Okay, you don't have to really look for human beings. There's plenty of them on the planet. But the idea is to always be marketing. Now, one of the ways you can always be marketing in a passive way is something that a gentleman by the name of Foster Owusu up in Toronto does very, very well. He's actually had a personal placard built for the back of his car, like a big decal that promotes his Immunitech business. Now think about it. When he takes his kids to school in the morning or picks them up in the afternoon, he's got to drive his car to do that. He's got to do that regardless of whether or not he was an Immunitech distributor or not. He's got to go pick up his kids. But when he does that, he's got free advertising on the back of his car that's always advertising and promoting his business, okay? And a lot of our distributors have done similar things, some things that they buy off the shelves, other things that they create themselves. Doesn't really matter. The idea is to always be marketing. He and I sat in his car one day. We were at a gas station, and he was filling up his automobile, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, here he comes walking out of the the place where you go to pay. He goes walking out with this gentleman I never saw before. He introduces me to this guy. This guy winds up becoming a distributor in Immunitech. It was a guy who saw the thing on the back of his car, followed us into the gas station, waited for him to get out of the car, pursued him when he went inside to get a cup of coffee or whatever he did, as well as paying for the gas. He comes back out with the guy. Next thing you know, the guy becomes a distributor. Those are the types of things that can happen. And that's free business, by the way. Always be marketing. He didn't run an ad in the newspaper and spend a bunch of money to meet that guy. That guy followed him because, once again, always be marketing, always marketing, okay? That's one example. Another example, I worked with a young guy down in Baltimore, Maryland a number of years ago who's not in our business, worked for him as a consultant. And this guy started his business. He had come from the real estate industry, and he was very, very aware of always being marketing in that business because, much more difficult. You make, far less sales than you ever do in network marketing. Anyway, this fellow's name's Brian. He's been very, very successful with his particular company. He's now the number 2 earner in it. And as I was working with Brian said, one of the things I really believe is that you always have to be marketing, always have to be marketing, always have to be marketing. He's absolutely right, Brian. He would have a briefcase of CDs every single day that he would leave his house with. And he did not come home to all those CDs were in total strangers' hands by day's end. Now, he was very creative, and on this call we won't, get into all the different things he did to get those CDs out. But he found creative ways to constantly and always be marketing his business. Some of us may not want to work that hard. But this gentleman makes over $100,000 per month in his business and has now for the last 5 years, and has put himself in a position where that proverbial financial fortress exists around himself and his new wife and child, okay, for the rest of his life because he was always marketing, okay? And then the last thing I'll mention this afternoon, and I'll turn the call back to Keith, is what we call the 4 generations of network marketing, okay? And this is just from a historical standpoint. I realize a lot of you are new to the industry, and just a little bit of information for you on this today. Number 1, the first generation of network marketing was from 1960 roughly to 1980. That's when what really happened, how the industry was created, was product overruns. Products were created by different companies, manufacturers, and when they would have an overrun, they would actually sell the product to people that started network marketing companies. One of the interesting things about that I found in this talk last week was the fact that the whole concept of biodegradability was actually created in network marketing. I never knew that till recently, so just kind of a FYI for you all. That was actually started by the Amway Corporation. And then, of course, from 1960 to 1980, you had companies like Amway and Shaklee and Mary Kay that got started and built. And, of course, they're still here today, very, very successful. But that's also, more importantly, where the core values of our industry was started. Okay, things like the 10-penny principle, the daily method of operation, these different things that you hear us refer to on some of these calls. Second generation was from 1980 to 1990. That was a growth period for network marketing. That's where Herbalife really came along, and Nu Skin as 2 of the companies that have become, incredibly successful today. That's really where they got their start. And then, of course, in that period, 1980 to 1990, that was a tremendous growth period for the industry where there were a lot of companies that started, a lot of distributorships that started, but a lot of the core thinking came from the people from the 1960s and 1980s, because those people were our mentors. That's where people like Bobby DePue came from, for example, who started the 10-penny principle. And Bobby DePue, as one individual, he was the mentor of not only Larry Thompson, but also Mark Hughes and also Jim Rohn. So there's 3 guys there that, incredibly successful with tremendous ability to train people, coach people, teach people, who came out of the 1960s and 1980s from the teachings that Bobby DePue gave them, that went on and taught many other people, including myself, that went on and built companies, built organizations, etc. So it's kind of interesting for the history part of the business. And then, of course, that's where the leadership started in network marketing. It's where a lot of the leadership principles that are there today got started. And then, of course, in Generation 3 was the speculative period from 1990 to 2000. That's where things like the 90-day plans that most of us are familiar with, where you sit down with your sponsor and you put together a 90-day game plan for your business when you first get started. That's kind of where that whole idea started. It's also where comp plans started to get a little bit deeper in pay, lineage, etc. And then finally, of course, the period we're in today is a period where, there's a lot of crazy things happening, a lot of crazy compensation systems, crazy ideas, etc. But if you understand how the business was formed going way back, our business still works the same way it did in 1960 here in 2015. And that's that it only works if we go out and we communicate with people, we talk to people, we inform people, and we do it above board. We give people the right facts, the right information, the right knowledge, and the right ability to make a decision, be it that they want to use our product as a customer, or be it that they want to join our business and participate in the compensation end of the business in addition to taking the product. And that's really, how simple it is and how it does need to work and does work to this day. So that's a little bit for this afternoon. I know it's a half hour that we went through here very, very, very quickly, and lots of information, lots of notes. Keith, I'll turn it back your way. Hopefully you're there, and we can answer any quick questions if anyone has them.
Well, thank you, John. Thank you for that. I do have some good notes here. It was good to go back on some of that stuff, like you talk about, refreshing and staying current. So what we can do, John, if you would like, I can unmute the line and see if if there's any questions, and then we'll call it a day. So if somebody has a thought or comment or question for John, we'll take about 2 minutes here, and then we'll call it a day. Who would like to be first?
Hey, Keith Foster here. I'll take the first question, if you don't mind, please.
Sure.
Hey, John, I was wondering, when you met with the Super Mastermind team, did anything come up in terms of where technology is taking this industry?
It sure did, and that was a question that I asked on your behalf because I got your email. Everyone is using technology, all of the social medias, the Facebooks, the Twitters, etc. Everyone is using those things. With the idea, though, and the caveat that what they want to do out of that is not sponsoring people over the Internet. In other words, by sending them an email, here's the URL to sign up and all that kind of stuff. They're still engaging them if they're local by still going out, sitting down, your living room, their living room, coffee shop, whatever. Still engaging them face to face. If they are long distance, of course, doing the next best thing, which is by telephone to really have a conversation and a dialogue. So yeah, everyone's using technology. With the caveat that it still hasn't replaced the part of the business, the personal part of the business of really, talking with people, eyeball to eyeball whenever possible.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. Someone else?
I have a question. The third generation, when did that go until 2000? Until when?
That went, let me see, 1960 to 80 was Generation 1, 1980 to 90 was 2, so that would be 1990 to roughly 2000 was Generation 3.
Okay, thank you.
And we're kind of in Generation 4 right now. There's dissipation going on. Okay, there's been so many different compensation things, and one of the things as an industry I think that we all know is that the retail part of the business is important, but it's been, over the last few years, it's been kind of ignored by a lot of the compensation systems that have come along, well-intended, but unfortunately, not really the spirit of that whole FTC decree back in 1979. So a lot of the smart companies are getting back to having a real retail focus. And retail leading to recruiting is not an issue, but having no retail is where a lot of these companies are getting in trouble. And I'm glad to say and blessed to say that Immunotech, we don't seem to have that issue. We have plenty of retail customers and a good focus on continuing to have that as part of our policy.
Great question. Okay. Well, John, it's great that you took the time here, and we're grateful to hear what you got back from the couple of days there in Dallas with the Mastermind Group. And this call will be up on xyztools.com very shortly by Tuesday. And with that, we appreciate you all being here. We will be talking with all of you very soon. Have a great afternoon and good evening, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.